Joining me here, my colleague, I guess, from NBC Sports. I'm part of the NBC Sports family. I'll be happy to say that. We've got Peter King back here on the Rich Eisen Show. How are you, PK?
Everything's going well, Rich. How about you?
What the hell was that last night? What was that?
That's the strangest result of this season, easily. But I think the oddest part was, and again, in my opinion, if Tom Brady gets pressured like that, they don't have a chance. So, you've got to ask Bruce Arians, Byron Leftwich, the coaching staff about their protection for Brady and how that's going to get fixed. If that doesn't get fixed, the Bucs will be one and out in the one and done, whatever the cliche is, in the playoffs. But I think the other part of it that was very odd to me was, I wrote a little bit about this today. Okay, so on Brees' last touchdown pass, to Hill, the tight end, did you see what Levante David did in the end zone on that play? It's like he had no idea where he was, and he was asking for help, and he was motioning with his hands. And then when the ball was snapped, he barely covered the tight end. It was just one of the strangest plays of the day. And that's supposed to be a top 3 to 5 defense in the league. I don't know what to make of that, but there's not a game in the NFL this season that sets off alarm bells more for a team. And I include the Packers' loss at Tampa. This was the most alarming game. And honestly, Rich, look, the Saints were fantastic, utterly fantastic. But that's what the Saints do. They play 1,000 guys on offense. You have no idea how many guys they're shuffling in and out of the lineup. 11 different guys catching a pass in the first 20 minutes of the game. And before you know it, it's 21-0. That's the Saints. Now, they can't always do that, but that's the Saints at their peak. So that really didn't shock me, to be honest. What shocked me is the deficiencies on the offensive line of Tampa and on defense.
Yeah, I mean, Brees last night was kind of asked the same question I asked you, like, what happened there? And Brees' response was something similar to the fact, like, I don't know. They had all their guys too, and he got all his guys back, and he got the, arguably the best receiver in the league back last night. I mean, what a difference maker, and just in terms of coverage needing to respect him. Nobody goes over the middle like him on that roster. And presents a target for Drew Brees quite like that. And then that's what opens everything else up, whether it's Taysom Hill or Adam Troutman, I mean, that's and then you got a master at the controls in a headset on the sideline and in a helmet on the field. I mean, that's what makes this team so difficult, Peter.
I wrote about the Adam Troutman touchdown in my column today, and the reason I wrote about it is that when the play happened, I looked at who was on the field for New Orleans. Now, left to right, Michael Thomas was wide receiver split left. In the left slot was Jared Cook, the big tight end.
Yes.
And then you had Adam Troutman, the rookie tight end from University of Dayton, tight to the formation on the right. And then they had their fullback, Mike Burton, split out wide right. So the wide receivers were Michael Thomas and Mike Burton, who I don't even think Mike Burton is a household name in his own household. and he's this short, kind of chunky guy, and he's out there at wide receiver. So everybody, why Sean Payton does that? Because now everybody thinks that he's going to pick either Jared Cook, to the left, or he's going to throw a fade to Michael Thomas. So what does he do? He locks his eyes onto Jared Cook, and then at the last moment, just quickly swivels back to the inside, and he hits Adam Troutman in the end zone for a touchdown. And again, it's so obvious. You think, well, they're never. No one would ever expect us to go to Adam Troutman or Mike Burton, and then that's where they go. And I don't know. To me, I just think Sean Payton, in so many ways, is playing chess while everybody else is playing checkers. He's such a smart, not only play designer and play caller, but people utilizer. That's what really makes him good.
And people motivator, because Mike Burton is also the name of the first guy in Jameis Winston's career who he hit with a pass that didn't play for the Buccaneers to Jameis's benefit. He's the only guy that Winston connected with last night when he came on.
Yeah.
And he came on, and like what that meant for Jameis. And again, at some point, Brees would have to be taken out of the game. But Jameis is eating W's and getting into Brees's post-game chat. It was all just as good in that hood as possible. Do you think this is indicative of the next half of this season, Peter?
I've through football history, especially with teams that you think, man, that's uncharacteristic. You know what, Rich? It usually is. So I would be surprised if Tampa, going forward, basically is as bad. They'll figure a way to go to Carolina and play better. Now, to me, as I said in my column today, I mean, going to Carolina, it's a weird thing to say, but that's going to be a Herculean task to beat the Panthers. If Christian McCaffrey's in the game, we don't know now if he is with that added shoulder injury from yesterday. But the Carolina Panthers are a load. And my feeling is, look, I got a lot of guys who I'm going to put on my Coach of the Year list. Mike Tomlin, Brian Flores are probably right at the top in some order. But I'll tell you one thing, Matt Rule is going to be up there. How in the world, when you totally rebuild your organization, do you go to Kansas City? Kansas City with that offense playing almost as well as you've ever seen it. I was so impressed with not just the effort. Everybody says, oh, great effort by Matt Rule. They have built a good team, Rich. And a lot of those guys are there for the first time. I mean, don't you think Joe Douglas is sick watching Robbie Anderson play the way he is? He's a number one receiver, and they got him for $10 million a year. The Jets could have had him a long time ago for $10 million a year. And it's just, that is a smart organization with a good guy running it.
Don't get me started, because I got to watch a Jets game tonight and then talk about it tomorrow here on the Rich Eisen Show. Peter King here.
Hey, they might win that game. You never know.
Hey, look,
it's a weird year.
This was, as I started the show, Peter, by saying that the Any Given Sunday yesterday was one of those given Sundays based on everything else that we saw. What can you take out of yesterday that you think is, again, indicative of the second half of the season? I'm still waiting for somebody, and I know Steelers fans might be like, hey, we're 8-0 for the first time ever, to separate here. Maybe the Saints did last night. Anything, and I would even include Tua as well. The Dolphins have won 4 in a row for the first time in 4 years. The Bills appear to have gotten their ship straightened out a little bit, while Seattle's defense really got beat up yesterday, and for the first time all year, the offense wasn't able to counter. So what about yesterday do you think can be indicative over the next 8 weeks?
Yeah, well, the Dolphins, to me, are a legitimate, very serious threat to Buffalo at the top of the division. Not only have they won 4 in a row, but they won them by 26, 24, 11, and yesterday a tough road game at Arizona with the miracle man Kyler Murray, and they win that, only by 3. But you're right. I think the 3 headlines of yesterday, in my opinion, okay, number one, the Miami Dolphins are making the playoffs. I don't know if they're winning the division or whatever. The Miami Dolphins are going to make the playoffs. That's number one. Number two, I think the Minnesota Vikings are not dead. Okay, I think they're definitely on life support because, at 3-5, you need a lot of things to go right. But what they have figured the last 2 weeks is let's give Dalvin Cook 30 touches a week, and let's limit Kirk Cousins to 20 passes a week. And look, they can, however you want to phrase it, whatever you want to say, that is a better offense when it's in the hands of Dalvin Cook. And quite honestly, Alexander Mattison, who is Dalvin Cook Jr. I mean, I think he's one of the 2, 3, whatever best backup running backs in football. And my third observation would be we are living in a time of the next truly great player who, and again, look, you have no idea what the future holds. But as I wrote in my column this morning, Patrick Mahomes, at the age he is this morning, has 101 touchdown passes. Drew Brees, at that same age, had 29, and Tom Brady had 27. And so we have to acknowledge right now that we could be watching really a Michael Jordan-type player, and it's amazing how good he is, and he's just basically in his NFL infancy.
Well, again, the I guess best testament to Mahomes' remarkable talent and success and efficiency, and I guess what other word can you possibly use other than intense love that people have for him? The best measure of it, Peter, is that we have already at age 25 reached the part of his career where why give him the MVP? I mean, why, you know what I mean? Like we've already reached that part of the why give Belichick Coach of the Year? Why would we give Phil Jackson Coach of the Year? I mean, the guy, it's already stipulated he's most valuable. So let's spread it around. And the kid's only 25, Peter. I mean, he is the MVP of the league.
The MVP is, Rich, the MVP is so weird because, if we had been talking 24 hours ago, I would have said, to me, there's some great candidates. But, I mean, Russell Wilson, I believe, has done the most with a supporting cast that's good but not great. When I say supporting cast, I mean 53 men on his roster.
Right.
I have great appreciation for those offensive weapons. I think they're fantastic. But I also think that it's not far and away the best team in football. They might be the best team in football, but I just think that Russell Wilson is doing an awful lot with the people who he's working with. But then, so in 1 3-hour period, it all flips. And that's why, to me, whenever we do the MVP, which, as I've railed against for years, I think it's a mistake that we only get to vote for one person for MVP. It's wrong because baseball does it so much better where you vote on a sliding scale so that you could say, let's just say for the sake of argument, at the end that Russell Wilson trimmed Patrick Mahomes and Ben Roethlisberger or whoever for the MVP award. You won't have any idea who he trimmed because there's only one vote. I'm not crazy about it. But the thing that I always try to keep in mind about the MVP is that it's a 17-week award. And everybody like this morning will say, well, you got to give it to Mahomes. Maybe you do. Let's see what happens because it's a 17-week award.
No doubt. Peter King, last one for you. Ask him the poll question before we send him out the door. We've got, Cam Jordan coming up in about 4 minutes' time here on the Rich Eisen Show. Go for it, Chris.
Peter, who's the best team in the NFL? Steelers, Chiefs, Bills, Saints.
At this moment, I will say the Steelers because I trust their defense more than I trust Kansas City's defense. And I think they can score enough to beat Kansas City. But it won't surprise me if my answer in 2 weeks is Kansas City. I think they're both terrific. And I think those two teams right now, at least today, if I see one or two more of those games by New Orleans, well, New Orleans is going to go in there in that category. And to me, the one other thing I would say, you have Buffalo in there. Look, Buffalo's won 3 in a row, but only one of them is against a really good team in Seattle. And, you know, I've got not vivid, but it's not that far gone that Tennessee and Kansas City both handled them, and that the first month Josh Allen devolved into 2018 Josh Allen. Well, yesterday Josh Allen was back to being September Josh. You know, so let's see where he is when they go to Arizona on Sunday.
That's right. That's a big game, Arizona on Sunday, and Miami's next games at Denver, the Chargers, the Jets, and Joe Burrow before Kansas City. I mean, it's just going to be the Tua train has left the station, and it's going to be must-see every single week. And I know you chose Miami to win.
So fun to watch yesterday.
Oh, my gosh. Him versus
Rich,
Kyler Murray.
The last thing I'll say, because I know you got to go, but you know, my first reaction when I was watching that game and flipping back and forth between that and Pittsburgh-Dallas, which was really a fun game too, my first thought was, are you serious that we will not see Tua versus Kyler Murray again
4 years
until the 2024 presidential campaign is hot and heavy? It's insane. How in the world can the NFL give us Tua versus Kyler Murray once every 4 years? That's got to change. This 17th game, Rich, you have your ball fumbled out of the back of the end zone is the thing that has to be fixed about the NFL.
Yes.
My thing that has to be fixed, that 17th game starting next year has to be in Howard Katz's lap. And Howard Katz every March has to look at great matchups that we could find for that 17th game. And I will take Kyler Murray and Tua Tagovailoa every other year.
Oh my gosh!
And in honor of one other thing, I'll take Tua for 200, Alex.
That's right. Yes. Who is Peter King, and what is Football Morning in America? Must read stuff. Thanks again for the call, Peter.
All the best, Rich. You take care.
You got it. That's Peter King.